Welcome back to Yoga with Jeffrey. I'm Jeffrey Allman, yoga teacher, meditation guide, mindfulness coach. Up until this point, most of the videos I've created have been about a single posture, or they've been sound baths to fall asleep to, or guided meditations. I've avoided giving a full class, a full sequence, for a number of reasons. Being a traditional studio teacher, I'm used to the music. I'm used to the music being a big part of how I teach yoga. And actually, one of the ways that I kind of got hooked into and fell in love with yoga was the synergy of the flow and the music. And of course, here on YouTube, it's a challenge because of copyright laws. And I don't want to subjectively just add any music. So I've avoided doing flows or, a flowing vinyasa sequence, which is kind of what I did in studio and what I do in my livekick.com classes. And if you want to take one of those flows, I encourage you to do it. And there's recordings of them at livekick.com/Jeffrey. But my purpose here is really inspired by my private yoga students. And maybe it will bring me more private yoga students in the future, or maybe it'll just be perfect for you, whoever you are, wherever you're at, and your curiosity of yoga. And this is more a sequence that is, I would say, fairly basic and accessible for you to do in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, just to discover your yoga practice. Maybe you've been practicing yoga a long time and it'll just refresh you on some postures or asanas. And maybe you've never done yoga before and this will be your first introduction. And I'm humbled that you're choosing to take that journey with me. I'm surrounded by stuff. At the end, I thought I might do a little bit with my gong and singing bowls if you stick around to the end. So awesome. You'll notice I have blocks and a strap. I have a yoga bolster. I'm sitting on a huge block. You don't need a block this big. I just love a lot of different props. I've got a couple smaller blocks here. None of this do you need. I've got a blanket. Again, a big zabuton, which is a folded meditation mat. You don't need those things. But over time, I may use them in my demonstration of today's postures. And you may find something in your house, if you don't own these things, that can fill in space for you. Bring the floor closer to you, help you find proper alignment. However, not needed. And maybe over time you'll be like, I want one of those big blocks. Most of my stuff, and this is not paid, they did not say, hey, Jeffrey will pay you to say this. Not yet, but if you're watching, you can. Most of my stuff I've bought from yogaaccessories.com because I just think they have a great selection and pretty good prices, including this huge block. And a lot of my private students are like, oh my God, I want one of those big blocks. So now you know where I got it, if that's a question you have. And I encourage you to email me or message me, but now you know. Okay. Wear something comfortable. Actually, that's probably not a good place for the big block to live. I'm going to put it at the back here. I'd suggest, first of all, something comfortable, some shorts, a tank top. I don't like really loose fitting shirts for doing yoga because when you do go upside down into downward dog, and you may not know what that is yet, but we'll get there, they will fall down over your face. Obviously, if you're at home and you're comfortable, you could just be shirtless. But comfortable stuff that you don't feel constricted in. I want to point out, I've got a belly. It's been the pandemic. I haven't been hitting the weight room or the gym as much, although I do teach and practice yoga and ride my bike. I also eat like a lot of us do. It's tough times mentally and physically. So this is plus size and accessible yoga. This should be regardless of your size, whether you're skinny or a little beefier, a little bigger, and regardless of your age, your gender, your identity, yoga is for everyone. And I really want you to believe that because it's true. We're going to start with a child's pose. That's going to be our first posture. Your knees wide and your big toes together. Your knees wide and your big toes together. And you also probably want to do yoga barefoot for grip on the floor. Plus, it's nice to be barefoot and have your your toes free. So your knees wide, your big toes together, and then your hands, when you're going down to the mat, spreading your fingers wide. This is going to be, for most of our postures, really being active. That's a thing about yoga, is you want to be intentional, mindful, and active with every part of your body as you're putting your body in shapes. So your fingers are spread wide. You're coming forward and you're bringing your forehead, your third eye center, right to the mat. And you're drawing your hips towards your feet. Grounding your forehead, really close your eyes and notice the color and the movement on the back of your eyelids. Start to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Using your diaphragm is a umbrella-shaped muscle and fascia at the base of your lungs. When you push it down and out, it makes room for your lungs to expand in all directions. And then you push it up and in towards your spine, and it exhausts all the air out. Eventually, this breathing, which is very intentional and audible and loud, could be an Ujjayi breath, which is an aspirate breath. It has an aspirate shushing sound where your nose meets your throat, kind of like the tide coming in and out. Kind of like the wind through the leaves and the trees. It is the sound of life in your body. And eventually that breath can be exclusively through your nose, unless your nose is stuffed from allergies or whatever, in which case feel free to use your mouth. As you're breathing, start to notice the contact of the air to your lips, to your nostrils, the natural drying and wetting. A big part of yoga for me, and if I can offer it as a suggestion for you, is connecting to your breath, becoming one with your breath, and really utilizing your breath, the sound, the sensation, the feel, the energy it creates to connect with this very moment, to be present for yourself. Now slowly walk your hands off to the right, creating a left side body stretch and reconnecting your forehead to the floor once again. Where your forehead is connecting, maybe imagine a sensation of light as the stress and the anxiety, as your yesterday, your regrets, and your hopes for tomorrow fade away, coming back to this moment, really concentrating on the breath, the sensation, the side stretch through your hip, through your side body, all the way from your pinky finger to your little baby toe. Noticing you don't want any tearing or ripping, but notice where sensation is and breathe in and through those points. Send the light and the energy there. You don't have to overthink that. If that just sounds like, I don't understand, don't worry about it and just breathe. Now walk your hands off to the left, getting a right side body stretch, and reconnect your forehead once again, if you can, to the floor. If you forgot to breathe, come back to your breath. I'm talking your breathing. Every once in a while, you may even want to take a big sighing breath. Oh, especially at the beginning of your practice, to really fall into your body, into this present moment right now. Come back to the center and check in. We're looking for balance, so roughly the same amount of time, but it may feel really good to stretch out on one side longer than the other, and that's okay. Be intuitive and freestyle with your practice. So don't worry, was I exactly 30 seconds or exactly 1 minute on each side? It's okay to spend a little longer and a little shorter here and there. Ultimately, we're looking for balance, but it's not that scientific. It doesn't have to be exact. Now, slowly come up through all fours, putting your knees below your hips, maybe a little wider, and putting your hands below your shoulders and your fingers really spread wide, really spread wide. We're going to go through cow-cat. And if you do nothing else other than cow-cat ever in your entire yoga practice, that's okay. Cow, your heart. I want you to notice what I'm doing with my arms. I'm bringing my shoulders back on my back. I'm bringing them back and I'm bringing my heart open, my chest open, and I'm projecting it forward as I'm letting my abdominals drop out. So put your shoulders on your back, let your heart shine, and let your belly really just drop. No one's watching. No one. So just let it go. No more holding the belly. Let it go. And this is where you're breathing in. And then cat, you're going to go ahead and arch your back. And really we're looking to arch right below your neck, above your lumbar spine, your thoracic spine, your upper thoracic spine. So you'll notice I'm arching and I'm really letting my head go, letting my head totally release. Gravity pulling my head towards the mat, just like that. Oh. And eventually, this will be a flow, inhaling in my cow and exhaling in my cat. So do that. Inhale in your cow and then exhale in your cat. And as you're exhaling, you're pushing your belly button towards your spine. You're pushing that diaphragm up and in to exhaust all the stale air out of your lungs. There's a couple different ways to go through cow and cat. Some people prefer the tops of their feet down in cow, and then they'll switch them through cat. Some people prefer to keep their toe mounts and their toes on the floor the entire time, or the tops of your feet. There's no one right way. These are all modifications. Be intuitive. What feels right for you? Now, I like to, when I'm going through cow-cat, at a certain point, start to add some circular mobility. So my toes are tucked under, and I start moving in circles. So do that. Move your whole body in circles. But imagine that your hands, which are spread wide, and your palms are really flat on the ground, as if they are super glued right to the ground. And your knees and your toe tips and the root mounts of your toes are all connected permanently to the floor. And so when you start to move, everything that's not connected gets extension and stretch through your side body, through your calf, through your hips, through the arches of your feet, through your wrists. And breathe. As a habit, if you're forgetting to breathe, you could inhale when you stop and then exhale as you're moving. Just like that. And you'll do a few circles in each direction. Wherever you're at, maybe switch directions. At any time, you can pause this, you can rewind, you can go back. Don't let it frustrate you. If you're feeling weird pains in your knees, for instance, that's why we've got a blanket here. You can always grab a blanket and lay that down. They even sell mats just for your knees. Lay that down under your knees. Oh, a nice extra layer of padding. And then continue. It's not about doing exactly what I'm doing it as I'm doing it. It's about understanding the intention of what I'm doing, the intention of what you're doing. And you may do something completely different and completely out of sync with what I'm doing, and that's okay. Just being on the mat, just being here now is what it's all about. Now, we're going to add a little something to this. The next time you're in cat, come back, stop your circles, come up to cat, stay in that cat with that upper arched back, let your head go, constantly reminding yourself through the practice, is my neck disengaged? Shake your head yes, shake your head no. And then start tracking your hips towards your heels while you're arched in cat and feel that wonderful sensation. And make that a little bit of a flow. And when you get to that moment of sensation, rather than removing the arch from your back, or rather than collapsing or falling all the way, don't make it about the destination. Really luxuriate in the journey. So it's like, oh, right there, I feel that sensation. And just kind of breathe and sit on that edge and find more space. Each vertebra pulling further apart. You're breathing into it. You're creating more space for more fluid movement, more oxygen, more blood flow. Breathing big. Smiling, feeling the breath. Ah, yes, that's it. Gorgeous. Oh, beautiful. If you were using the blanket, you might remove the blanket. Set that aside for now. And let's go ahead and come to seated. And find a comfortable seat, wherever that is, whatever that looks like. It could be your feet crossed. It could be your feet crossed like this. It could be maybe sitting up on a block or two, because maybe you're really tight in your hips and you've never been able to sit cross-legged. Maybe eventually you'll get to a point where you're feeling more open, and you'll even be in this Burmese posture where your heels line up with your navel, just like this. Maybe that's where you're at. There's no real one way to properly sit. It's about exploring what's comfortable for you. And once you've found this comfortable seat, we're just going to add a little easy twist. So my right hand is coming over to my left side. My left hand is coming behind me. My shoulders are tracking to the back, left to the back, right to the front. And I'm just finding space in my spine. And my dristi is where I'm looking, is right off tracking with my back shoulder or my left shoulder. And then breathing. And breathing, as you're in a twist, you're massaging your internal organs with that diaphragm. It's really a detoxifying process, but it's also important to bring movement and mobility to your spine. We're constantly finding space to open and to really add more fluid, more flexibility, more mobility to our spine. So we can go ahead and take that easy twist on the other side. Oh, yes. So good. Don't forget to breathe. Let's do that one more time on each side. Again, easy twist. Oh, and I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that right through my groin. I'm feeling that through my spine. But you don't want to like tweak. It's not like, can I look behind me? Can I, exorcist, turn my head around? You don't want to tug too far. We're looking for the edge of sensation, but not stabbing or tearing. So keep that in mind. And then whenever you find that edge, try to breathe deeply through and into and beyond and transcend it. And then let's switch that up to the other side and take a few breaths over there. And while we're seated, while we're hanging out right here, as we've just started to wake our body up and add movement to our body, it's a good time to maybe set an intention. Yogis are really lucky because we're not all of us. I don't speak for all yogis, but kind of the school of yoga that I was brought up in and have kind of practiced in doesn't really believe in goal setting. We believe in intention setting. And the cool part about intention setting is your intentions can be ever evolving and ever changing. And because it's an intention for this moment, it's not about like reaching some goal 10 years from now or 20 years from now. It's how do I feel? How do I want to express? How do I want to be in this moment, in this present moment? And for me in this practice, I'm going to heavily suggest compassion for yourself. There will be moments where you're frustrated and you feel like you maybe can't accomplish the posture that I'm offering. And also forgiveness. Forgive yourself. You may find yourself practicing in the opposite side that I am, or completely as you review the video later that you did something wrong. You just don't want to hurt yourself. So be compassionate and be forgiving to yourself. That's my intention, because I'm probably going to misspeak and demonstrate improperly as well. I'm going to have compassion and forgiveness for myself too. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. All right. Want to get started? I think we should. Here we go. Not that we haven't already started, but you don't want to go right into severe practice. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to find our downward facing dog. So it's, again, very important. Your fingers are spread wide and your palms are flat on the floor. Your toes are spread wide. Your toe mounts come to the floor, and then your knees come up off the floor. Now, for my first down dog, for your first down dog, I suggest a dynamic down dog. Really walking your feet, your heels coming towards the floor. It's not important that your heels come all the way to the floor. And sometimes I like to really take this and exaggerate. So as your right knee comes to the floor, your left hip comes up. Oh, and then your left knee comes to the floor, your right hip comes up. Oh, yes, there you go. Just like that. For a static down dog, your dristi could be right between your feet behind you. Depending if you're in Ashtanga yoga or Iyengar yoga, your dristi could even be up at your navel. The key thing is you don't want this is not down dog. You don't want to engage your neck. One of the major things I see a lot of my students doing, especially early on in their practice, is constantly engaging their neck. We're so used to doing that. Let your neck go. Shake it yes, shake it no. Disengage it, and then you're looking naturally between your feet behind you. And now find 3, 4, 5 breaths here. This may, as you're new to yoga, feel really uncomfortable for your wrists. Eventually, and I guarantee this will become a resting posture that you can just hang out in, because your practice will advance and you will go on to wonderful, strong, beautiful expressions of your body and shapes. But in the beginning, it can feel a little awkward. It can feel a little different. So I'm going to offer some other things you could do. If the wrists are too much, you could come down and grab your hands together here in a triangle, bring your elbows to the floor, and then lift your knees. And this is a little easier on the wrist. And you could still walk it out. Same idea. You could still be static with it. Same idea. You could actually take your hands the same way they are and just drop your elbows right to the floor as well. That's fine too. And if all of that's too much, you could alternate one leg at a time, just opening up through those hip flexors and creating mobility through your legs. See, it's not important that you nail the exact expression of every single thing that I'm doing at any given moment. You could go as far, if we're going to be really open about this, as I tear my studio apart, you could have a chair or a stool like I have, and you could grab that, and this could be your down dog right here. Yeah. Oh, is that wonderful? It's not about being difficult. It's not about it being hard. It is about finding that space. Oh, as your underarms open up. Oh, behind your knees. Raising your toes, flattening your toes. Yes. Nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to be difficult. Who knew? All right, so here we are. Back to down dog. Fingers spread wide. And then after we breathe 3 or so times in down dog, let's walk our hands up to our feet in a forward fold at the front of your mat. Now, I'm not all the way to the front of my mat simply for demonstration purposes, so I'm not cut off by the camera. But you're going to walk to the front of your mat and be in this forward fold. Now, for you, this first time, your knees could be bent a lot. Your knees could be bent a lot. Oh, yes. Beautiful. And you're breathing, and your abdomen can come right down to your thighs, and you're really getting more pressure on the abdomen. As your diaphragm is moving up and down, you're cleansing. You're really starting to create something inside your body there and massage those internal organs. So just here in our forward fold, and then maybe even find a little bit of a sway left to right. Oh, yeah. Ooh. And let your head go again. Shake it yes, shake it no, make sure it's not engaged, because a lot of you might have the tendency to do this with your head. You don't want to do that. You want to let it go. Oh, beautiful. Coming back to your breath. If thoughts of yesterday or anticipations of tomorrow in your head, let them go. Come back to your breath. Come back to the sensation of your toes on the floor. And now your hands on your shins. And we're going to go to a halfway lift. Opening our heart just like we were in our cow. Now we're going to do this in a halfway lift. So go ahead, put your hands on your shins, open your heart, smile, breathe in. Yes, exhale, forward fold. And then inhale all the way up to standing. Just like that. Oh, yes. And now while we're standing, go ahead and plant your feet, all 4 corners of your feet. Lift all 10 toes up and let all 10 toes settle back down on the floor. And then inhale your arms up and just release, opening your heart, opening your armpits, opening your hip flexors, and maybe just find a little movement here. Oh, it's so good. Maybe be intuitive with your movement. Even though I'm not playing music, maybe you're hearing the music in your head, or maybe you're playing your own music in the background. You can dance with or without music. I do it all the time. Yeah. Okay, inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Bring your hands all the way to the floor, and you're going to walk your feet back all the way through to downward dog. Bring your knees down to the floor and bring your body through for a Sphinx pose. Sphinx, your elbows are ahead of your shoulders, your heart again open, recurring theme that we keep talking about here, much like we did in our halfway lift, much like we did in our cow. The tops of our feet are on the floor, our heart is open, and our head is rolling. Counterclockwise, if you find a little moment of tension, breathe through it. Oh, move through it. Yes, that's it. And you're breathing big using your diaphragm, and you're massaging those internal organs. You're really, with each breath, each inhale longer than the previous exhale, each exhale longer than the previous inhale. Switch directions. Your head's going the other way. Oh, it feels so good. Maybe stack your hands and let your forehead come right to your knuckle. And feel where that third eye just connects with your knuckle. And then pop your feet up and let your feet drop off left to right. It's not about how much space or how far your feet go. It's just about the mobility you're starting to bring to your low back, to your hip flexors, to your abdominals. Oh, perfect. Go ahead and let your feet come down. Bring your hands to the bottom of your rib cage. And we can get up a few different ways here. With as little effort possible, we can come right up through all fours, eventually making our way to down dog, just like that. Or if we're feeling strong and maybe we've been doing yoga for a while, we could come right up through a plank and then flip our toes and bring our hips right towards where the wall meets the ceiling behind us. And here we are in down dog again. Again, I like a nice dynamic down dog. You might enjoy that too. Just pedaling your feet. As you pedal your knee, my left knee comes down, my right heel goes towards the floor. My left heel goes towards the floor, my right knee comes towards the mat. And then if we're getting static, which after 2 or 3 sequences of down dog, you get static, you really want those heels to go right towards the floor. And where are they placed? They could be closer together. They could be a little wider. What's comfortable for you? What we don't want is we don't want a lot of arching in the back. We want a nice straight line from your wrists all the way to your hips and from your ankles all the way to your hips. Now, if it's uncomfortable, you can bend your knees. That's okay. It's not wrong to bend your knees. You can bend your knees a lot. That's fine too. Take a few big breaths. Your drishti is up at your hands, and you're going to tiptoe or walk or hop your hands right up to your feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Oh, there we go. Exhale, forward fold, and then inhale all the way up, just like that. So gorgeous. This time we're going to do cactus arms. So we're inhaling our arms up. We're exhaling our elbows. So our heart is opening. Our elbows are coming down. Yes, feel that. Inhale your arms up. Ah, yes, so good. Just like that. You don't feel, I get a little arch in my back. My belly's sticking out. That's okay. You're doing this in your house. It's fine. I'm not embarrassed. I know I'm a big boy. Inhale, and then we're going to exhale, forward fold again. Our hands come to the floor and our feet go back. Now, at a certain point, and I'm just going to demonstrate this, as you're going through this, what this is called is a sun salutation A or Chaturanga Dandasana. So at a certain point, rather than walking your feet back, you could get to a point where you hop your feet back. Not necessary, not important, maybe never, but you can. And then at a certain point, once you've done that, rather than dropping your knees, you can bring your elbows back towards your feet, flip your feet, and come through to an upward facing dog. Oh, and really let those abdominals go. If that's too much, you can have your legs right on the floor for a high cobra. If that's too much, you can come lower for a low cobra. All of those are correct. None of those are exactly what you need to be doing. Any version is okay. Oh, I like the up dog. And with the up dog, your hands are below your shoulders are on your back, your heart is shining again, you're smiling, you're giggling, you're laughing, you're crying. And then you're flipping your toes, and then your hips are coming right up towards where the ceiling meets the wall behind you. Just like that. And again, this down dog, mine often are dynamic. I have music on, I'm dancing, whatever you want to do. None of them are right or wrong. Take a few breaths in your downward facing dog. Again, think about those angles, the straight line from your wrists to your hips, from your ankles to your hips. Taking big, beautiful cleansing breaths, thinking of the sound of the sea, of the tide, of the leaves through the tree, shaking your head yes or no. And then after a few breaths, inhale your right leg up, and then exhale your right leg forward. We're coming into a low lunge. So I want you to take your time getting here. You're new to yoga maybe, or maybe you've been doing yoga for a long time. I'm going to offer many ways to do a low lunge, okay? So first of all, you could do it with no props at all. And if you see me adjusting this, it's because I have my microphone and I don't want my microphone to turn off, me not notice it, and this not be something you can hear. So here's one low lunge, just nice and simple. My hands are on the floor. You can see my knee is above my ankle. My back knee, my left knee in this case, is behind my torso, and I'm getting a hip flexor opening. Okay? Now, I also like doing this with blocks. So I'm going to show you. If you, even during COVID times, you could probably get these delivered same day or next day, or get them somewhere locally, or maybe even one of your yoga studios has decided to close down their operations, but they're selling their props. And that's sad, but they'll forgive you if you're taking their online classes and maybe buying their props as well. Not that they need to forgive you, but you know what I mean. That'll help smooth it over. So I'm putting these blocks on the highest level. Again, I'm putting my knee behind my torso. So your knee's behind your torso. Your hip right here, hip flexor is opening, and your weight is shifting to the blocks. And what's key about this is as you shift forward in a low lunge, oh, it feels so good. As you're shifting forward in the low lunge, this knee, when it's weight bearing, you never want it to go past the ankle. However, with my weight on the blocks and my back knee, I can even track a little bit past the ankle. So if I were in a high lunge, if I were standing, if my back knee was not on the ground and all my weight was here, you wouldn't want to do that because it'd be hard on the knee. And you want to listen to your body. So if you ever have any stabbing or tearing in any of your joints, you want to back off. It's not about, oh my God, I'm expressing this posture exactly right. That's not important. That's not important. So we're just going to open up again our shoulders, your shoulders on your back, your heart open, your smile real. You can go as far, and I really love doing this. You can go ahead and just drop your hand to the floor, one hand, and open up to the side. Oh, is that good? That feels good. You could even, if you're feeling it, add a quad stretch. Grab your foot, behind you, and your drishti is right over your backside. Gorgeous. After that, you could even add a halfway split if you wanted. Beautiful. You could do none of that and just stay right here, opening your hip flexor. You know, when we're doing all of our life sitting on the couch, sitting at the desk, driving, we don't open the front side of our body. So really spending a lot of time on our hip flexors is a really good idea. So I'll show you all those variants. Again, your hand comes to the floor, left hand to the floor, right hand in the air. If you want to take the quad stretch. If you want to take the halfway split. If you're doing the halfway split, stay supported. You don't want to be floating. That you could tear something, fall out of it. Always have your hands on the ground somewhere. Even if they're not on blocks, if they're on the floor. But no, none of this. If you're having to do this, don't do this stretch. It's too far for you right now. Excuse me with the hiccups. All right. Put the blocks aside. Bring your hands to the floor. You're going to take that front foot back to your downward facing dog. Walk that out a little bit. And then inhale the left hand up. Ooh. And we're going to come through and do that same sequence on the other side. So a low lunge with your right knee behind your torso and your left foot forward. I didn't even show this on the other side. You could also come up with your hands on your thigh. Oh, is that a beautiful opener? You could also bring your hands right up in the air. That's gorgeous too. Oh, is that wonderful? You could also bring your hands right to your back. There's so many modifications. There's so many different ways to express your body in these postures. And because you're practicing at home, because you're not in a studio in a group class, and because right now we're practicing without music, you could take as long as you want in each posture, expressing and exploring your body, being really mindful that you are grounded, that you're not moving fast, you're not tearing, you're not stabbing. Maybe you open up on this side like you did on the other. Maybe that's inaccessible and you put a block down and you open up with the block. Maybe you take that quad stretch. Oh, is that gorgeous? Oh, and you could really open up sometimes. See, you could just, there's endless possibility. Maybe you do that halfway split. Maybe you're really open and you go closer to a floor split, but you don't want to rush yourself. I do a lot of yoga. I practice yoga every day. So I'm open. I can go and I can demonstrate this, but you don't want to rush into this. Maybe you do this later. Maybe you practice a full split. I've been doing yoga for 20 years and I still don't practice a full split. That's okay. We all live asymmetrical lives. We all live our lives, and our bodies are all built differently. Our muscles, our skeleton, not every posture is accessible to everybody expressed the same way. Remember that. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I revisited everything twice on the other side, so I'm going to revisit it on this side, coming back to the low lunge. Whew. I'm really enjoying this. Feeling really good. It's my first time doing a sequence today, and it feels awesome. I did a lot of yoga yesterday, and just falling back into it is so gorgeous. Expressing that side, opening that twist. Oh, yes. Expressing that quad stretch. Oh, wonderful. Expressing that halfway split. Beautiful. Set the blocks aside. And I'm going to set both blocks aside so they're not blocking the camera. Bring your hands back forward. Come back to downward facing dog. Walk it out. Take a few breaths. Your drishti comes up to your hands, and now this is a point where you can hop, skip, or jump. So we've been tiptoeing our feet up. We've been taking some steps up. You could also jump your feet up. And then find your halfway lift. Oh, yes. Exhale, and then inhale all the way up. And I keep stepping back. You would stay right at the front of your mat. I'm just doing this so that I'm in the camera still. Now let's add a little side stretch. Oh, yes. Feels so good. You're breathing in as a habit. When you're breathing through yoga, you breathe in as you open the body and exhale as you close the body. So I'm breathing in, I'm opening, and then I'm exhaling on the transition, breathing in, opening. Oh, it's so gorgeous. Just like that. So good. Do that a few times on each side. Here we go. Let's continue. Let's see what else we can explore in our new yoga journey. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold, Chaturanga Dandasana. So I'm jumping back and I'm going through an upward dog. Okay. So good. Oh, it feels good. Hips towards where the wall meets the ceiling. Could be a static down dog. Few breaths. Shake your head yes, shake your head no. Remind yourself, are your hands flat? Are all 10 fingers mounted to the floor? Yes, good. Okay. Inhale your right leg up. We're going to come to warrior two. Exhale your right leg through. So your right toes are coming up to your right fingers and your left foot is dropping to the floor. So there's two different ways to line up here, and neither of them is right or wrong. So you could do heel to heel or heel, your front heel, to back arch. Your back, this is my right foot forward. My left foot is angled in just a little bit. So your right foot, all 5 toes forward. Your left foot just angled in 5 to 10%. 5 to 10 degrees. Maybe not percent. There you go. Just like that. Now, your arms are going to come up, and your drishti, where you're looking, is directly over your front arm. And this is warrior two. Eventually, you want your knee directly above your ankle, and you want your thigh parallel to the floor. Really intense. And you really want to engage those quads, those hams, those glutes, those abs. Everything is engaged. And this is a workout. Just hold this and breathe. Big, beautiful breaths. Oh, yes. And when you feel like you're, oh my God, I'm almost done, flip that front hand and turn this into a dancing warrior. Oh, yes, your heart is open. Oh, you're breathing in. You're letting all the energy out. It's gorgeous. Yes. I love it. Oh. And then we're going to exhale through to Chaturanga Dandasana. My right leg is coming out. Now, if you're trying to add heat, you don't need to do this, but if you're trying to add heat, as your right leg goes back, you can keep it in the air and come through and then do your upward dog. Oh, gorgeous. And then flip those toes. Bring your hips back up to where the wall meets the ceiling. Oh, I love it. And then we'll inhale. Left leg up and through for warrior two. You're going to see this from the back, just so you can see what it looks like. Again, my toes facing forward, my left knee over my left ankle, my right foot fully on the floor. We want the back edge cemented as well as the front, and we want those toes angled in just at about a 15-degree angle. You should be able to hit those quads. Oh, yes, those thighs totally engaged. And then your arms come up. Your dristi is right over your front left arm, right over that front left leg, all aligned, all about the angles. Yes. And then when you start to feel the burn, flip that front hand and go back to a dancing warrior. It's gorgeous. Yes, inhale. Oh, and exhale. Beautiful. And then we're going to come through for a Chaturanga Dandasana. I love it. And you can leave that leg in the air if you choose, and then come down and through. Now that may be a lot. I'm actually sweating a little bit. I'm under about 8,000 watts of light. So I think it's a good point to talk about when you're in a yoga class and you're running out. You're like, oh my God, Jeff, I'm older, I'm beefier. Yes, I am. But maybe you are too. And you're exhausted. So at any point during this practice, you may not want to pause the video, or you may be in a live class. Maybe you're taking my Sunday night or my Wednesday night class, live streaming through livekick.com, and you just want to chill out for a minute because it's too much. You can drop back into child's pose at any point, bringing your forehead to the floor, your fingers spread wide and ahead of you. You could also bring your hands back. This is another good way to be in child's pose. Again, connecting that forehead to the floor if you can. Bringing those hips towards your heels and just breathing. Nothing wrong with this. It's gorgeous. Beautiful place to be. At any point you can do that. Don't feel like, oh, I can't do that. That's lazy of me or whatever. No such thing. It's not lazy. You're gorgeous. All right. I think that's enough rest, especially because it's a video and you could pause it. So you don't want to see me sitting here and rest. So you'll come back to all fours. Flip your toes under the root mounts of your toes and your toes planted. Your fingers spread wide. And you're coming back up to downward facing dog. It's gorgeous. Walking it out if you want, or going for that static down dog. Maybe your heels are coming closer to the floor. Your dristi is right between your feet. Love it. Yes. Yeah, I get loud. I get crazy. I love it. I feel so good. It's just, yoga makes me feel so wonderful, and I really want to share that with you. And eventually you'll take these, and if you're curious and you want more, please take one of my live classes and enjoy the music, both live and the playlists, the DJ set that we put together. It's just wonderful. Oh, here we go. All right. Inhale your right leg up and exhale your right leg through like we're coming back to warrior two again. So as a reminder of what warrior two is, your right knee is bent. Your right toes are forward. You should be able to see your big toe. You don't want to see, the whole foot should not be pigeon-toed in, and it shouldn't be out. It should be just straight forward. And I have to be careful demonstrating that so I don't hurt myself. That would be classic me, showing you what not to do while I hurt myself. So you should just be able to see. It's kind of like your two middle toes are exactly forward. Again, your whole back foot is planted on the floor. Your quads are engaged. Your abs are engaged. All right, now we're going to go through a little bit of a a little bit of a little flow here, just to build up some heat, just to open up and loosen up our body. Even though we're taking this slowly, we still want some heat before we get into some of these postures. So we'll inhale up. Remember, opening the body. Inhale, exhale, down. Inhale, up, exhale, down. There we go. Inhale, up, oh, exhale, down. Inhale, up, oh, exhale, down. And now we're going to inhale up and we're going to switch sides. So I'm taking my back foot and making it my front foot, and my front foot and making it my back foot. So while standing, I don't have to go through a Chaturanga Dandasana every single time. Now, you could choose to go through a Chaturanga Dandasana every single time. You could not stay in a standing sequence as we're doing, and to really make it difficult, to really build up strength and to sweat and to expend energy and calories, you could add, 3 push-ups in every Chaturanga. You could add Spider-Man push-ups in every Chaturanga. But that's not the purpose of this video right now. It's just to really take you through the basics of some of these postures. All right, so here I am again in Warrior Two. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Beautiful. And your drishti is over the front arm. Gorgeous. I think I did that 4 times on the other side. We'll do it 4 times on this side. And then I'm going to flip back again. Okay, now here's a good place if you've got a block to have it handy, because we're going to take this gorgeous sequence we're building, this wonderful posture we're putting together, and we're going to turn it into a triangle pose. And for some reason, there's certain postures I always use the Sanskrit, and I'm purposely trying to not use the Sanskrit right now. So I almost said Trikonasana. I don't want to confuse you with Sanskrit. If you're in one of my classes, occasionally I'll call out some of these postures in Sanskrit, because that's just what's going to happen in studios and flows. I teach almost a completely Sanskrit-free class, even though I had to learn it and get tested on it. So occasionally I'll use it. And so anyways, I almost said Trikonasana. I guess I could edit that out later. But so that's triangle pose. And when you're getting into this, your knees are not locked. There's just a micro bend in your knees to really protect your joints. Your quads, your hams, your calves are engaged, your abdominals are engaged, and we're finding mobility right in the hips. And then we're coming over for Trikonasana. Now, this Trikonasana could be on a block. I wanted to demonstrate this with a block. I love it with a block. It could be on your shin, anywhere but your knee. It could be all the way down on your big toe. Your drishti is up at the top hand. Also, maybe you don't reach the toe. Maybe, though you want it to be a little more difficult, maybe your hand floats off the ground on the inside of your leg. Or maybe it floats off the ground on the outside of your leg. Maybe it's not all about making it hard for you, and you just really want to stay supported on this block, and that's okay too. Also, maybe you want to add a little bit of a back bend. Maybe you're an Anusara yogi, or you're curious about that. And so maybe you add a back bend and your drishti goes a little far behind you. There's so many ways to modify your triangle pose. But triangle is just a gorgeous place to be, gorgeous place to hang out. It is a wonderful stretch for your entire body to keep mobility, to keep everything fresh and flowing. It's gorgeous. If you want to add a little more, you could take your top arm and make it parallel with the floor. Whew. So good. And your drishti's still up. You could even take your bottom arm and make it parallel now with your top arm. And then you could go all the way through up. You could even turn that into a flow. Absolutely. We're going to switch sides. Do that with the other side. So I'm going to grab my block, take my front foot, turn it into my back foot. My back foot becomes my front foot. Again, it's all about alignment. My toes are spread and then dropped. My full foot in the back is on the floor. My knees micro bend, not locked. Block, front hand, quads engaged, glutes engaged, mobility through hips, yes, and then finding my triangle. So gorgeous. Oh my goodness, and my drishti's right up to the top. I really like that Anusara, that back bend. Oh, it's so good. Just hanging out. Because I showed you on the other side, I'll show you on this side. It could be, again, floating on the inside, floating on the outside, could be on your shin, could be your big toe. Doesn't have to be. Maybe you don't reach the big toe, and that's okay. That's all right. There's no one way to express. There's wrong ways. If you're out of alignment, if your muscles are not engaged, if you're damaging your joints, you don't want to do that. Remember, you can drop your top arm parallel to the floor. Your drishti is still up. You could bring your bottom arm parallel to the top arm. You could flow. Don't forget to breathe. I'm talking, so I'm not breathing enough, which makes things a little challenging, but don't forget to breathe. You're constantly breathing and moving with your breath. Ideally, we want you to do one breath, one movement. So just an example of what that would look like. If I happen to be doing this, I would do inhale up, exhale down. Just like that. Just like that. Just that simple. It's gorgeous. All right, so we're now going to go ahead and bring our hands to the ground and go through a Chaturanga Dandasana. Oh, gorgeous. Yes. Come back to downward facing dog. Walk it out if you want. At this point, you could be really limber. Let those heels come right towards the floor. Think of the angles in the body, straight lines from your ankles to your hips, straight lines from your wrists to your hips. Ooh. Shaking your head yes, shaking your head no, making sure you're totally chill. You might be sweating at this point. You might be like, wow, I had no idea yoga was this easy. All right, we're going to go for a warrior one now. So we'll inhale our right leg up. Our right leg is going to come through. As it comes through, ideally in a warrior one, your left heel comes to the floor. Your right toes come up to your hands. So it's a very similar, it's similar and different at the same time. So here's the key thing in warrior one. Warrior one, your feet are not on a single balance beam. They're wide, and your hips are squared forward, and your right knee is bent, and your back foot is completely on the floor and at an angle, maybe a 15-degree angle, maybe 20. There you go. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. And you don't want to, it's interesting because we do warrior two and we do lunges before we do warrior one. We do that because we are loosening our spine and our hips. We're opening all of this up so we don't injure it. So it's very interesting that warrior one, you would think instinctively, and some teachers, and don't take this personally if you're a teacher and you teach warrior one first, but as I was taught and as I teach, I don't do warrior one first because I want the body to be more open. Heart open, and then your arms can come right up. Maybe putting a mudra, which is how you hold your hands. Oh, maybe a little bit of a back bend. Maybe opening those armpits and really bending back. It's gorgeous. Did you straighten your knee like I did? You could bend it more. Oh, so good. Yes. Ah, beautiful. Lovely. Oh, is that gorgeous? Exhale directly through, coming back through a Chaturanga Dandasana. There we go. Up dog. Your hips to where the ceiling meets the wall. And now we're going to do that on the other side, warrior one. So left leg lifts as I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling through. My back foot is dropping to the floor as my front foot is coming up to my fingers and my toes. And then I'm coming up once I have a nice solid foundation. Whew. My shoulders are back. My knee is bent. My quads, my glutes are engaged. My abdominals are engaged. My arms are up. Oh, maybe I'm doing that same posture. Oh, it's gorgeous. Maybe I'm doing a lotus mudra with my hands to be receptive to the energy. Yes, I love it. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. I love it. And then we're going to come right back down through. And I'm going to demonstrate because I was talking about how you can add more heat and a Chaturanga Dandasana. So I'm going to demonstrate a heated Chaturanga. So you could add additional push-ups. You could also add Spider-Man push-ups. See that? You could do one foot. You could do both feet. You could do knees on the ground. None of those are wrong. But the more push-ups you add, the more Spider-Man push-ups you add, the more one-footed, the more heat you build. So you really control how difficult your practice is. But don't make it so difficult that you're hurting yourself. Just what I always say is bring your practice to you, not you to your practice. Because if you're pushing yourself to the practice that someone else is demonstrating or teaching, rather than bringing yourself there, you can injure yourself. And we don't want you to injure yourself. We want you to become a very skilled, very healthy, very educated yogi. Okay, let's continue, shall we? What a great first yoga class. If this is your first yoga class, again, if you take live classes with me, there's music, it's more flowy. It's not as conversational, but I thought for this one, let's have a talk. So I hope you're enjoying it. We're gonna come back up to downward facing dog. And we're actually going to do a warrior one again. So inhale our right leg up, exhale it through, the left heel drops down. So we remember what warrior one is like. Okay, getting that wonderful. Now this time, and I should have had it handy. Oh, here we go. It could be a towel. It could be a strap, or it could be just your hand. So I'm going to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So this is going to be a shoulder opener and kind of a forward fold in warrior one. Okay, so I'll show it with a towel. First of all, I can grab this towel with both hands, open my heart and my shoulders, and then humble warrior, I can just fold over, bend over just like that. See how that works? Beautiful. I could also do that with a strap, which I'm not going to demonstrate because I did it with a towel, but if the towel is not big enough for you, you'd use a strap or a belt or a tie. But I could also grab my hands and do that right with my hands as well if I'm open enough. Beautiful. Oh, it's such a good release. I just got a free crack of the back demonstrating that. And breathe through. Oh, yes. Really breathe. Take a couple breaths there. Release. Arms up. Oh, and then exhale. Chaturanga Dandasana. Or if that's too much, you can skip the Chaturanga Dandasana. You don't have to do any more push-ups. You can just come back to downward dog and take a few breaths. You can come to child's pose. You can come to your knees. Or if you're ready, we'll go right to warrior one on the other side, inhaling your left leg up, dropping your right heel down, and bringing your whole body up. Oh, it's gorgeous. Feeling that opening through your hip flexors. Woo! Yes! We're open, and then we're bringing our hands behind us. Our heart is open. Maybe we're grabbing that towel or that strap behind us, and we're going to our humble warrior again for 2 or 3 breaths. So gorgeous. Woo! And breathe. Don't forget to breathe. Big breaths. Ah, yes, you can get loud. You're at home. You don't have to worry about people being like, what is he doing? Yoga is all about breathing. If you're not breathing, you're not doing yoga. You can come out of that. Inhale your arms up and then exhale through your Chaturanga Dandasana. You don't even have to do a Chaturanga Dandasana because that's it. We're done with those. Now we're going to move to our back. Now that we've stretched and we've opened so much up. Whew. And there's so much more I could teach you, and I'm going to do more of these sequences, but I thought this would be a good first sequence, and I didn't want to run too long. We're not done yet. I was just giving a little check-in where we're at. So we're going to lay down in constructive rest. Constructive rest is our knees up, our feet flat on the ground. First thing I want to do in this constructive rest is just let Your knees drop left to right. Whew, that's it. Your feet are still on the ground. Your knees are dropping left to right. You're just opening up through the hips and through the back. And you're breathing, calming down a little bit. But while you still have heat, and you still want to have heat, you're going to bring your hands to the backs of your heels, if you can. Hands to the backs of your heels. And we're going to do a little front opening, back building. Because, again, the life we live, we very rarely open the front side of our bodies. And so this is a little bit of what we call a bridge pose or back bend. So my hands are flat on the ground is one option. And my torso pushes up, my belly button, my hips push up, just like that. And if that's at first, when you first do this, it could be hard. You could do that slowly, exhaling on the down, and inhaling on the down, exhaling on the up. I almost said that wrong. Inhaling, and then beautiful. And then once you're all the way open, you could take another big inhale and exhale down. Another way to do this is you could grab your hands and clasp your hands or a towel and shimmy your shoulders underneath and really take a bigger back bend, a more complete bridge. Woo, so good. And you don't want your knees to open or collapse. You want to keep them as close to parallel as you can. And you want to notice how I'm able to talk. You're not locking your neck. You should be able to breathe freely. If you can't, it's maybe too difficult of a posture for you just yet. Oh, it's so good. Truthfully, with back bends, I like to do 5 back bends if I can. And then sometimes I teach classes without back bends. So it really just depends where you're at and which practice you happen to be doing. But I'll say for today, let's do 3. So I'm going to go ahead and clasp again. I'm not teaching you the full wheel because, like I said, this is very beginner friendly, but a full wheel is where I pop up on my hands and my feet, kind of like Exorcist. I'm not going to do that right now. I think I have videos on my IGTV teaching that if you want to go research the full wheel with me. Oh, here we go. Yes. Gorgeous. Oh. And then come out. And even in between each back bend, you can let your knees drop left to right. Certainly after the last one, let your knees drop left to right. So gorgeous. And now we're going to do a little bit more. We're not quite done yet. Let your left foot extend all the way out and grab your right shin and pull that toward your heart. And just start to move your leg in your hip joint. You could even, if you have a strap handy, because I said this would be for beginners and those who've done more yoga, you could even put a strap on the bottom of your foot and just pull that up. It feels so good. Yeah. And as you're doing this, you are really taking your hips and grounding them, your shoulders and grounding them. Your whole body, with the exception of just your right leg, is grounded, is calm, is still. And we're going to turn this into a twist, a supine twist. So with your strap, you would take both sides of the strap and put it in your left hand, and your right hand goes off to the side, and your right leg goes off to your left side. Oh, and it's gorgeous. Now, you'll notice my leg's coming all the way to the floor here. That may be too difficult for you. So you may employ a block or a pillow. Kind of like that. That's fine too. Oh, if you don't have a strap, you could just bend your knee and put your left hand on your right thigh. Oh, yes, that's it. Really opening up, and your dristi is out over your right arm. And you're breathing in this supine twist. You're taking gorgeous breaths, pushing your diaphragm down and out, really massaging those internal organs. And you're Your twist is all the way from the hips through the lumbar spine, through the thoracic spine, all the way up to your cervical spine, which is your neck. You're getting a full twist of the spine. The fountain of youth is spine mobility, fluidity. It is the flow of spinal fluid, oxygen, blood, and yoga really helps you tap into that fountain of youth. There is a reason yogis look younger, act younger, smile more, dance more. It's not by accident. A big part of that is spine mobility. Yes, that's it. Oh, it's so good. With each exhale going a little bit deeper. Oh, beautiful. If you're really getting into this, you could take this, if you want another, I do a lot of riding. I do a lot of bike riding. So you could even take this further. First of all, you could put your hand, my left hand, on my right foot and stretch that out just like that. That's even deeper, more intense. You could even go as far as grabbing your bottom foot. So in this case, it's my right hand to my left foot and getting a quad stretch as well. It's like an everything stretch. Just like that. Oh, is that good? So there's so many ways to modify all of these postures. We're going to slowly come out. Oh, slowly come out. Take that right leg and bring it to the floor and just, your right leg should feel, I don't know, about a foot longer than your left after that beautiful supine twist. They'll definitely feel different. Like, it's like, oh my God, it's so light. And this one still feels there. So we got to work on the left leg now. So we're going to grab that left shin. Ooh, it's so good. Putting a little bit of a circle in there. Again, if you want to use your strap, why not? Oh, beautiful. And you could spend a lot longer in each of these postures than I am. I encourage you. And you could do multiple twists. You don't have to do just one. You could do each side 2 or 3 times. They're beautiful. So if you have the strap, you're going to put both straps in the right hand and you're going to let that left leg track off to the right side. Oh, and your dristi is out over the left arm. Beautiful. Oh, yes. Remember, if you don't have a strap, you could just bend the knee or you could grab the foot. And if you want to add extra to it, you can grab that right foot in your left hand for the everything stretch. It's so good. Ah, so with each exhale, go a little bit deeper, a little more surrender. Oh, yes. It is in these postures through my practice that I found tears and laughter, clarity and focus, my nowness, my presence. It is in this yoga practice that I have just found bliss and joy, and I can come back to it over and over again as I'm practicing, as I'm putting my body in shapes, as I'm breathing intentionally and mindfully. And that's why I'm always asking, do you want to do yoga? Do you want to take my class? It's not about the money. It's about the peace, the calm, the release, the reset, the renewal, the possibility and the wonder that each of us have within our own self, within our own moment, with our present now. That beautiful miracle of life within us, and then our shared humanity together. Oh, is that so good? Wherever you're at, unwind out of that. Oh, is that gorgeous? Yes. Now both legs feel the same length. It's beautiful, wonderful. Now we're going to go ahead and bring our knees up towards our chest, and we're going to roll out. Oh, roll out on our low back, side to side, up and down. We could even, beautiful last physical posture for you could be a happy baby, grabbing the outsides of your feet, bending your knees a lot and rolling. Oh, yeah. I even like to roll my weight up towards my upper back, give myself a back massage, one vertebra at a time as I'm lowering down, maybe alternating, straightening each foot, left and right. Oh, it's so good. Yes. Beautiful. And if you went through all of this, as I promised you, I'm going to give you a little bit of sound bath at the end here. I'm going to talk you into a shavasana. You stay in shavasana. I'll continue to talk and guide your breathing, and I'll play a few of my instruments for you as well. So go ahead. We're going to come to Shavasana or corpse pose. So you're flat on your back, maybe throw a blanket over you, maybe throw a towel over your eyes. Let your feet kick out, flail out, flop out from the center line of your body. You don't want any effort there. Let your hands come to the backs of your hands, your palms up. Move all 20 toes, all 10 toes, all 10 fingers, and let them go. Move your ankles and your wrists and let them go. Your calves. And your forearms. And release. Your knees and your elbows. Relax. Your thighs and your biceps, let go. Your hips and your shoulders, disengage. Your heart opens. Your belly, your abdominals release. Take a few big breaths with that diaphragm, the belly release. The diaphragm pushes down and out. Breathing it in big. And then pause. Now take another sup of air in. And then pause. And then sigh it all out. Ah. Let's do that a couple more times. Breathing in, your diaphragm down, pushing out. Pause. Another sip of air, totally filling, making your lungs go in directions you never even knew possible. Pause again, and then sigh it all out. Ah. Let's do that again on our own. Start to roll your head left to right, noticing where the back of your head connects with the floor. Your eyes are closed. Notice the movement and color on the back of your eyelids. Your tongue drops off the roof of your mouth. Your mouth opens, open and close, up and down, left and right. Your sinuses release, your nose release, your forehead muscles, your ears, everything is releasing. Letting go of everything. Let everything go for some time. Let everything go for some time. Let everything go for some time. Slowly bring movement to your fingers and toes. Stretching your fingers as far from your toes as possible. We'll call that a morning stretch. Oh, yes. Oh, it feels so good. Nice, beautiful morning stretch. Oh. Oh. Take a few big breaths. Bring your knees back towards your heart. Roll around. Really loosen everything up. Feel how more in your body you are now than you have been. Maybe ever. Go ahead and roll to one side, left or right side, and bring your head to your bicep as a pillow. And you could stay here forever. Or you could come to seated if you want. So, maybe put your hand over your heart. Maybe your heart got beating, and if it did, you feel your heartbeat maybe in your toes and your fingers, your whole body, perhaps. Maybe you want to bring your hands to prayer hands, which is not particularly religious necessarily. It's just a way of saying, I'm here to commune with your humanity, your shared humanity. I come in peace. I come to learn. I'm a student just like you are. I learn from you as well as you from me. I always want to be a student, always learning, always taking other people's classes. Encourage you to join me in my live classes. I also teach private students as well through Zoom. And so I hope this has been helpful. A lot of you were asking, hey, is there a video with a whole sequence? And there really hadn't been until now. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live a life of ease. Namaste. Thank you so much. Stay curious. Be wonderful.